All right, my friends, and we are back with our 14th competitor this weekend, Arsalan Pourmand of Flux Coffee in Farmingdale, New York.
Yeah.
Bring it more than that. There we go. There we go.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Hi. Hey. How's it going? How you doing? Welcome. Am I good? All right, time. Hey, judges. How's it going? My name, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Good? Cool. My name is Arsalan. I am the founder and coffee roaster at Flux Coffee in New York. We're in Farmingdale. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, which we're all very excited about. So I'm here to brew you guys some coffee. Now this coffee is very special to us, especially at the shop. We've been getting coffee from this farm and micro mill ever since we've been open. So this coffee is from Costa Rica. It's from the West Valley region, and it's from Las Lajas. Las Lajas is a micro mill, and they also own a handful of farms in that region, and they're just really awesome people. I've met the owners, Francisca and Oscar Chacon, at SCA a few years ago, and I've Zoomed with them. And they're just fantastic people, and they really focus on quality. So they own the farms and the mills, so they have total control of the quality from the bottom up. And as people who roast coffee, we really appreciate that and can understand where they're coming from, where they want to control everything. So the coffee we have today is super special. So it's what's called a black diamond process. Kind of a crazy name, but it's more of an advanced honey process. So the difference between a traditional honey process and this black diamond honey process is the drying portion. So instead of traditionally being dried on raised beds outside, it's dried in like a greenhouse, temperature controlled, humidity controlled, and they control the airflow in there. So they call it cool drying, cold drying. Cool, cold? Colder than normal. So it takes 15 to 22 days. And because it takes so much longer, the fruit gets like a crystallization around it, and that puts in more sweetness in the cup. It makes it a more balanced cup, and it gives it a little more acidity, which are all things that I love in coffee. The other really cool thing about this coffee is that it's an SL28 varietal. Now the SL28 is mostly a Kenyan coffee, developed in Kenya in the 30s by Scott Laboratories. It's the SL part. And Las Lajas got this coffee about 10 years ago, 2012. And they planted it, and they didn't harvest it for about 4 years. And we've been buying coffee from them, like I said, since we opened. And this is one of the most exciting coffees we get from them because it keeps changing year after year because it's still like acclimating to the new soil and the elevation. So it doesn't taste like any other SL28, and every year it's kind of exciting to get the new lot of it and roast it and see how it's been developing and how it's been changing and kind of grow with the coffee. So really special coffee, especially for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and start brewing this for you guys. So we're using 13 grams of coffee. We're using a 1 to 16.5 ratio here today. That 1 to 16.5 ratio gives us a really nice balance between the acidity, the sweetness, and the body of the coffee. So I used a 45 gram bloom, and I'm gonna top it off to 165 grams. And to finish it off, I'm going to top it off to 215 grams. Just going to let that drip out for a second. So this coffee was roasted on a 1987 Probat L12. It had a 13% development time, and I roasted this coffee. So today we are brewing on the Haria Mugen drippers. What's unique about these drippers is that they have flat walls, and with very careful filter preparation, you get virtually no bypass around there. The other interesting thing about these drippers is that the hole on the bottom is smaller than a traditional V60. So that's going to allow us a slower drawdown time, which is going to allow us to get more extraction out of the cup. Now this was ground on a fellow ode. Now because we got the slower drawdown time, we were able to grind a hair coarser than you traditionally would. So we're able to pull out some of those bright notes a little bit more. Now when you get this coffee, like give it a nice little sniff, initially you're going to get a nice pop of red berries. It's going to kind of linger right there in front of you, really pleasant. And then behind that, behind the red berries, you're going to get a nice pop of cacao nibs. Now, it's not quite chocolate, but it's very cacao nibby. I've roasted cacao nibs before, and the smell and the taste is almost just like, I don't know if you've ever had a cacao nib fresh out of the roaster, but it takes you back to like having a warm cacao nib right out of the roaster. It's a really interesting thing, and I highly recommend you guys get some cacao nibs and ask your roaster to throw them in there for you. And then as you taste the coffee, right up front, as it's still on the hotter side, you're going to get this really juicy pineapple-iness. And then behind that pineapple-iness, again, you're going to get that cacao nibbiness, which is really lovely. And it's going to have a candy sweetness lingering right there at the back. Then as this coffee cools, that pineapple-iness is going to kind of turn more into a mango. That cacao nibbiness that's going to be there is still going to be there. It's going to be very present. Think of those Trader Joe's dried mangoes dipped in chocolate. I like to eat those when I drive. It just really reminds me of that. So eating that, not driving. part. And that candy sweetness is going to be still very present. It's going to be more like a Jolly Ranchery sweetness. Judges, it was a pleasure brewing this coffee for you guys today. Again, this is one of my favorite coffees from Las Lajas, and they are green coffee ninjas over there. And I really hope you enjoy this coffee that I've been enjoying for many, many years, and watching it develop and change over time. Enjoy, guys. Time.
All right, y'all, let's give it up for Arsalan Pourmand of Flux Coffee in Farmingdale, New York. Nice work. You did it. So tell me, when you were going through this and thinking about Las Lajas, was this the first coffee that you stopped on? Did you try a few? What was this journey?
We've gotten many lots from Las Lajas before. Every year we get a lot of the Perla Negra. We get a bunch of the different kinds of honey processes that they get in. And we've gotten their washed ones before. But the SL28 is one of those, all those are outstanding coffees. But the SL28 is one of those memorable coffees. The one that you drink and it kind of makes your knees weak and you're like, oh, that's a good coffee.
One of those fun, like, I didn't know coffee could be like this moments.
Yeah.
Those are magical. Tell me, biggest surprise during this whole process for you?
Time went by a lot faster than during practice time.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, I heard you got 30 seconds, and I was like, oh, I thought I had a little bit longer.
You made it.
Yeah.
You did it. You should be proud of yourself.
I am.
Anybody that comes up here deserves all the accolades.
Yeah.
While you're here and you got this camera on you, anybody you want to give a shout out, you want to thank?
Everyone that's been helping me prep for this, my coach Mark, my unofficial coach Bill, everyone at the shop who's been picking up my slack for not actually working behind the bar while we've been training.
Oh yeah, congrats on 5 years.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Exciting.
I love that we've heard a little bit about community through all of this. I think it's really important to remember, like, none of us do this on our own in coffee.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people that are always picking up everyone's slack when they're not doing one thing or another.
Well, thank you for sharing this with us, and congrats on getting through. And everybody, one more hand for Armand.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more competitors at 4:05.